Give it up for Richard Bolland.
Thanks, John. Hello, that's me. It's a privilege to be here. It's a privilege to open Playtopia's talks today. They chose me to start because I'll set the bar really low for the rest of the talks. So if you can get through mine, you'll probably get through the rest of them. So yeah, today I'm going to be talking about quantity over quality. And usually that's something that people don't tell you about. They say you should always focus on quality over quantity, but I'm going to try flip that on its head, and I'll explain what I mean by that. And the purpose of this talk is basically, this click is not working, we'll just do that. The purpose of this talk is about trying to make a hit game. Most of us in the audience here today, if we are making games, we enjoy the art of making games, but at the same time, a lot of us would like and enjoy commercial success. What I mean by quantity over quality is not that quality is bad. It's not that you shouldn't focus on quality ever. What I'm really kind of deducing and talking about is how much time you spend on your game. So the premise today is going to be spend less time making games rather than spending a lot of time on making games. But that title sucks. So today we are talking about quantity over quality. And what I mean by that is essentially if you have 12 months, right? You've got a choice, especially if you're starting in this industry, if you're a new developer, you can make, a lot of fun games, like bingobongo.exe, Evan Greenwood's Dream Sequence, or for 12 months you can focus on Pac-Man in space. And what I'm trying to prove today is that the former option, the left-hand option, is going to be a better option for you, especially if you're starting out. The word you're going to hear me say a lot, or the two words that you're going to hear me say a lot is market validation. And it is the world's most boring word you'll ever hear. And so in order to counter that, I've got one of these guys. And I've actually got a few more because I want you to help me out. So here are some streamer party things. Here's some more. And here's one more for this side. If you hear me say the word market validation, please just go, maybe let's test it out. Market validation. Fantastic. That's awesome. And the main metric that I'm going to be using today about market validation is 10,000 downloads on itch.io. That is kind of the metric that I'm using. There are lots of other ways you can get market validation. And some of those might be that your social media posts have done really, really well. It might be that you have a publisher or funder that's giving you money. It might be that you've done decades of market research and are going to make the game perfect for a particular audience. And so those are fine. If you're getting those, you are getting the MV word. But for today's talk, I'm focusing just on itch.io, which is, for those of you who don't know, it's like an indie platform, and getting 10,000 kind of downloads on that. What is the time like? Okay, good. So what we are trying to avoid as indie developers, a friend of mine in Germany, he made a game called Mother Machine. They spent $3 million US making this game, and many, many years and months making it, and it tanked. No one wanted it. It failed in terms of commercial success. And this is not just one game. There are countless games. I would bring them up, but we haven't heard of them because they failed. And they've spent millions of dollars working on them, months and months and months, and they failed to get market validation before they started. Jonas, for those of you familiar with him, he has kind of this mentality that a lot of us indies have adopted in South Africa, and that's prototype fast, Kind of fail fast, release early, observe what people are doing in your game, and then kind of decide whether to move on with that or kill it. And so this is a type of approach that I want to really encourage. And I want to share a little bit of my own experience. 2 years ago, we made 12 games in 12 months, and we've added a little bit more to that. And you can see here that like the reason I use the 10,000 downloads metric is just so that I can say that I have one hit game. And we'll go through some other examples of other developers today on that. And you can kind of see here all the different games we've made. There's one, possibly two kind of outliers that if I had, and by the way, we spent just 8 days making that game. You can see here proof on Discord that we made 8 games from when we started it to when we uploaded it. The reality is, if I'd spent 6 months making each one of these initial games, the result wouldn't have been much better, and I'll kind of prove that a bit later. If I had only made 3 games over those 12 months or 18 months, I think I would be in a far worse position than I am today. So when I said later, I mean now. Here's Idle Sands. 8 days of development, 15,000 views, over 10,000 downloads or browser plays. Tiny Treats, another game that we made. 6 months of development, 2,800 views, 1,300 browser plays. Time spent making a game doesn't mean anything unless you have market validation. So let's look at other people. It's not just my stats that I want to show you. I want to show you some other developers. I found like the worst photos of people in order to try give them some anonymity. But then I end up telling you their username, so that goes that. So let's start with VFQD. So you might recognize some of those games there. He's made 17 prototypes in his kind of game dev career, and probably a little bit more than that because there's some that he made that never ever got uploaded or anything like that. 4 out of those 17 games have breached the 10,000 downloads mark, and if you look at Terra Nil there, it's like it's done even better than that. I've grouped those together because it was getting super messy when I separated those bars. So forgive me for that. But you can see here that those 4 games have done very well. And it's also humbling to know that like some of those games didn't work out, and that's cool. It means that we all have failures. So he said he spent an average of 2 to 3 days making those games. He's an incredibly exceptional game dev, but he really focused on doing it quickly. We have Evan's prototypes here, and you can kind of see the hit rate. He also has about 24% hit rate. He's made 72 games in his career, and I think more than that as well. And you can see there what games have done really well. And once again, I want to point out that like he has a lot of failures. A lot of games he worked on sucked, and I'm not saying that to like diss him or own him. He's very open about that a lot of what he does fails. And if he had sunk 2 years into making Planet Headwound, he might not have a career in games anymore. He spends only a few days, if not a few weeks at most, making the first games that get uploaded to itch. Then he focuses on quality after that. How are we doing for time? Good. Here's me with a 6% hit rate. Not very good. But when I chatted to Evan, he said the first 17 games he made were failures, and he had to build up his kind of experience and skill level before he started seeing success. And I'm on like 16 games, so from the next one, I'm hoping to find massive success. I spent about 2 or 3 weeks prototyping each of those games. A friend of mine, Fox, he's made 37 prototypes on itch. And you can see here that like the most views he's got on a game is around 2,000 views. So you might be saying to me, Richard, why are you suggesting we do quantity over quality. Here's is Fox, who's done quantity, and it hasn't worked out. And yeah, this formula of quantity over quality is not a guarantee that you're going to make a hit game, but it's going to give you a lot of evidence, a lot of stats on what's not working out. And in Fox's case, I've got permission to talk about it. He's given me a license to say some things, and we can look at his itch profile, and we can see that the reason he's only getting 2,000 views max, an average of 300 views, is that the thumbnails that he puts out are not great. They're not compelling enough for people to click on his games. So I think he's a brilliant game designer, brilliant programmer, but people are not enticed enough by his thumbnails to click on them and actually give those games an experience. And so you have to keep learning from your prototypes what you do and how to make them better. And so he spends also about 48 to 72 hours, 1 to 2 weeks on each prototype max. So here we go. If you wanted to know, okay, cool, how do we all stack up against one another? You can see here that myself and Fox, not super good. VFQD and Call of the Void, or EV, very, very good. Oh, excuse me. I ate popcorn this morning and it's coming back to bite me. So to kind of finish off and land this talk, I wanted to, I asked 10 game devs in our community and internationally, what advice would you give people starting out in game dev and their career? And what have your games kind of, if you were to summarize your game dev journey, what would it look like? And so, these are the 10 people. You might recognize them sitting next to you. So the first one was rapid prototyping. Almost every dev, this was the most common thing those 10 devs said to me. They want to prototype quickly. They want to make sure that they get games out to the market so that they can test validation. And thank you. I was a bit tricky there. And because it de-risks projects, it makes sure that if you upload a game that's taking you 2-3 days and it fails, you haven't lost much. You've lost 2-3 days. And if it does really well, boom, you can now spend a lot of time making sure that works out and that's better. A lot of the devs told me, focus on novelty. Take your own life experiences and put them in the game. A lot of games that are generic clones of other games, they don't do well. Why should people play like a Pac-Man clone when they can just go play Pac-Man? And so take your own life experiences and put them in a game, and that will be, your games will probably do better. Luck and grit. It is a lot about luck. When you upload your game, whether that genre of game is popular at that moment, and that type of thing. And I say grit because a lot of people told me they fail a lot. A lot of games fail, and that takes grit to get through that. If you are super disappointed by a failure, it's going to be really hard to pick yourself up and make another game. So you got to have grit to be in this industry. And yeah, I said this before in the beginning, you could have alternative ways of kind of validating ideas. It can be that you get funding from a funder or a publisher. It can be that you, have a great social media or community presence, and you don't need to necessarily validate your idea because your community will buy into it and are expecting a game from you. And then it's also about just kind of balancing things. Making a game that you like making a game that you want to have that Venn diagram where it's like a game that you like making, a game that audiences like, and you need to find that sweet spot. And so that is kind of the summary of the 10 devs that I asked, what would be your advice? And so the time is 1 minute left. I'm going to quickly go through this. And so if you are a game dev student here looking for advice, you've come to Playtopia, I want to have a game dev career, And what can I do? And so my advice to you is make a tiny game, make a small game, 2-3 days. Focus on like one mechanic, one theme, that type of thing. Upload it to this community in Cape Town. We have a community called Makers Massive. Join it. It's a lot of fun. We've got a prototype kind of Discord page where you can upload stuff. And if people like emote it and play it and comment on it without you like begging them to play it, that's a good sign. Like you could move on to actually putting that up on itch. And I've kept these numbers really low to try and encourage you to do stuff. And if you're getting like 5,000 views on your itch page, if 4 to 5% of those views are converting to downloads or 10% are converting to browser plays, like you've got something decent. It's the lowest metric possible. If you're not reaching that, kill the game, move on. And then lastly, just double check that you're not following like a red herring. The last thing I want is for you to spend like 6 months working on a game that you think is validated, and it turns out that I don't know, people were searching for something else and they came upon your game, and actually no one's actually interested. And so yeah, if you're getting like 1 rating for every 30 players that are playing your game, that's pretty good. I think you have something that is worth pursuing. And so that is my talk. Thank you very much. And just to wrap things up, let's always search, make sure that we are looking for market validation in our games. Thank you.